Well, welcome everyone to Atlanta Live, featured right here on WATC TV channel 57. I'm your host for tonight, Shana Thornton, and I am so excited and grateful you chose to watch us, because here you will get inspirational talk and live music. Now, if you watch this network, then you know that all of the programming here aims to educate, inspire, and motivate you nightly. And tonight's edition of Atlanta Live will do just that. Our guest lineup will surely impress. We have a financial coach who wants to talk to you about your faith and also your responsible behavior when it comes to spending money. We also have two authors with us, and they focus and advocate for childhood literacy and saying that reading can start as early as you want it to, even in the womb. And lastly, we have a physician on with us. She's an eye doctor, and she wants to talk about taking care of your body completely as God would have you, and also a very special event she has planned at the end of the month. Now, as you can see, get ready, because this edition of Atlanta Live has it all for you, the entire gamut. And remember that the prayer lines are open. But first, we're live on the music set, and this is a world debut. He's here all the way from Long Island, New York. I'm talking about Antoine Hilton, and his song kicking off this world debut performance is Yahweh.
Out of no way. How many know he make a way out of no way? Always. Father, here I am, doing all I can, trying to be a man, but you're telling me I gotta go do something else, but I ain't got nothing left. The first time in my life I can say that I'm debt free, and the cause is you. I know you brought me through this, and you gon' take me through that, but my faith do shake. But then you put me back in place. I said you make a way out of nowhere. No way. You said trouble don't last always. No. This try not the last try, but I'm stronger now, wise now. I can't get a peace of mind. I've been going through time after time, but I'm still here to tell it. So I guess it was a good fit. You put no more than I can bear. In the storm, I still see you there. Yeah. No matter what they say, they can't separate me from you. Separate me from you. Come on, oh, 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 oh. Y'all ready to rock with me? Come on, come on, come on. I said clap your hands like this, y'all. I said clap your hands like this. Clap your hands like
Wow, what an amazing musical world debut. And of course, that was Antoine Hilton out of Long Island, New York. We're going to be hearing much more from he and his band, so stay tuned in. But of course, at the top of the hour, we promised you motivational and inspirational talk. And right now, I'm so excited to have someone else that is new to Atlanta Live, but her advice is going to be so worthwhile. I'm talking about financial coach Renee Whaley. Welcome to Atlanta Live.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Super excited to have you on. I know you're based out of Atlanta Metropolitan. And when we think of Christian, our faith, our commitment to God and his word, and finances, Renee, those two don't always go hand in hand. But as a person of faith, you believe that he does want us to be responsible stewards of our finances. Explain.
Absolutely. If you read in his word, he talks about it in so many different ways. We've all heard the analogy about how will you build a tower and not count up the costs first? About leaving an inheritance to your children's children. So lots of time we only think about our kids, but what about our kids' kids? So it's all throughout his word, and so I totally believe in it.
You know, when I've had the opportunity to talk to people about finances from different generations, one of the things that keeps being echoed over and over again is they're saying, I just wasn't taught the responsible thing or concept early in. So mom and dad made mistakes, and normal is relative, right? And I kept repeating it. Why does that happen?
I think that happens just because you are a product of your environment. You wake up every morning, mom and dad are there. They're probably having a fight about paying the rent or the mortgage or what have you. So because you're a product of your environment, that's what you grow up doing and that's what you grow up seeing. So it's definitely a paradigm shift to get out of that mode and out of that piece of just hanging on to what you grew up with. And mom and dad likes to tell us what to do. That's not good enough. They have to show us.
That is a very good point in our faith and our walk, right? We'll say, well, you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that, but what are young people seeing now? So we're talking about things, and I know someone's watching us right now from home saying, you know, Renee's giving some great advice, but it's all theoretical, right? How do we practice that? How do we leave our kids and grandkids a legacy of responsibility? I'm not talking right now about actual money or cash itself, but lessons that will carry them from generation to generation.
I think it just starts off with being authentic. Okay. A lot of people, in front of their kids, they like to say and do different things. Okay. But just as I stated, when they see you doing what should be done, then they do. With my boys, Judah and Jonah, I always make sure to have conversations with them about money. We talk about entrepreneurship. Yes. We talk about making sure that you're not leaving behind debt or that you're not gaining debt.
Yes.
I can even remember a situation when we went to buy my husband's car, his new car, and when we left the lot, my oldest son, Judah, he says, Mom, are we in debt now? Wow. And I said, absolutely not. We're not in debt, you know, because we saved along the way. So I think that showing them and not just telling them helps them hold on to that legacy.
You know, you're absolutely right. But I think, and sometimes in the myth of showing them, a lot of parents will say, well, I haven't always done the right thing, Renee, right? I've gotten myself maybe in some trouble and maybe the credit's not looking very good right now. And you know, one of the struggles that many parents have with their children is that I don't want them to think that I've done something so wrong myself. But you said be authentic. Yes. And we hear that often when people are talking about any lesson for our children. So you're saying get past the guilt and the shame and get to the teaching part.
Right. And from day one, we've always actually had that conversation with Judah about our student loan debt. Okay. We've told him, Mommy was in lots and lots of debt with student loan and wanting to have a new car. My husband and I, we had $75,000 worth of debt. And in 3 years, we made sure to get rid of it. Wow. But it was a process. Okay. And along that process, we were talking to our boys about it. This is what you should not do. You don't want to be doing what mommy's doing. So you have to get past that guilt. But it helps them because moving forward in their life, they won't probably encounter that same thing. Or if they encounter it, they'll know how to handle it based on what we've been telling them along the way.
Finances is such a fascinating topic. How did Renee Whaley get involved with all of this?
So I think it stemmed from My sister and my brother will tell you, there were many nights we would watch my mom sit at the kitchen table and just pore over papers and bills and try to figure out what was she going to pay next? What was she going to do next?
Yes.
And I remember saying to myself, I don't want to be that person. I want to be able to go to sleep at night and not worry about when I have to, when I can pay the next bill. And so just seeing that. And of course, my parents, they had money fights.
Okay.
Neither of them had, really, they weren't very as career focused as we are now.
Yes.
But they made sure that we got through school and that we went to school so that we were career focused, so that we wouldn't have to endure what they endured. So I think seeing them with struggle, like a lot of us see, it just a light went off in my head and said, I don't want that to be me, and I don't want that for my kids either.
That's powerful. I mean, because I think it's saying, I don't want that for me, but many people will say that in different situations in every American home, but to actually put it in action, that's the tough part, Renee, and you know that.
Oh, yes, absolutely. It's absolutely not easy. I have conversations with people all the time. People, they feel, society has made us feel like you have to have a car payment. There's no way you're going to drive a nice car without having a car payment. We showed our boys that that's not true.
Wow.
So it's a paradigm shift. It's not the thought process that we're used to.
I see.
And you have to change that process. But with our kids, we have a great opportunity to impress upon them early on. And then it won't be so much of a shift for them.
That's right.
Because they would grow up already knowing how to do it the right way, God's way.
And Renee, just like other habits, right? Eating habits we want them to do, or prayer, we have to start that early in.
Yes.
How does Renee's faith fit into her platform?
I think my faith fits into my platform just in every area of it. Okay. A lot of my clients that I speak to, I'm constantly telling them, like the scriptures that I gave you about, leaving an inheritance to your children's children, and building that tower without ever even counting up the cost. Like, you can't do that. God has also said, we shouldn't be slave to the lender. Wow. So in all of that, I think through that. I give those words to my clients, family members that engage me for advice. Same type of thing, but they know I'm a woman of faith anyways.
That's powerful.
It just comes out like that.
So you're so confident, you're very effective and successful at what you do. But for those who said, well, I've gotten back on the hill, I've saved, I've been more responsible, maybe they let go of the addiction of shopping, but maybe they fall back off the wagon, Renee. Let's talk about overcoming the guilt of that, right? It's almost like health style of living or a diet. You end up having the 5 donuts and there's that guilt behind it. Yes. How do you move past if they have fallen back, and maybe they're fallen back into some bad habits? And we know God does not want us to be addicted to anything, but as you know, there are a lot of individuals in our society, maybe it's not officially diagnosed, but they are addicted to retail shopping. Yes.
I think that the way to make sure that people bounce back, because we will fall. I tell my clients it can take up to 90 days to get used to budgeting. Okay. You're not used to sitting down and calculating every single cost. You haven't factored in your budget that I go to Starbucks every morning, or maybe I should not go to Starbucks every morning if this is where I want to be. But I think the strongest thing is just having an accountability partner, just like with working out. That's right. Some of us won't go to the gym until that friend calls us and say, hey, are you coming? Same exact thing with finance. But it can't be a friend that says, oh, let's go shopping tomorrow.
Right. There's a sale going on. Right. Come on, Renee.
Right. Not that friend. The friend that's going to tell you like it is. So I think that's what helps you to stay on track. And if you fall off track, to get back on.
Now, you're educated and you're trained at your financial platform, which I think is amazing. But as you know, majority of Americans are not. Are there some simple tips that could help all of us to get where we need to be?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. One thing I tell people, and I do like to give credit to Dave Ramsey. I am a preferred Ramsey coach, so I like to give credit to him and his ideas. That's kind of what got me really going into the idea of doing the financial coaching work.
Yes.
But the first step of all the baby steps is to save $1,000.
Okay.
Your car engine it's going to probably go out. Something's going to stall. The alternator's going to go out. The tire might, you know, you might hit a bump in the road and your tire go flat. The refrigerator goes out. The dryer goes out.
Yes.
If you have $1,000 just sitting there, then you're not tempted to swipe that credit card or feel the stress of trying to figure out how are you going to do this, how are you going to fix whatever it is. So that's one of the tips. It's just to have that $1,000. Step 2 is just simply getting out of debt.
Okay.
There is a process, and I like to tell people you didn't get in debt overnight, you won't get out of debt overnight.
I see.
So there is a process. So step 2 is usually the step that people stay on the longest amount of time. Because, I mean, like I said, with us, with the $75,000 worth of debt we had, we stayed on that step for about 3 years. Some people, it might take 10 years.
Okay.
But the goal is just to go through and get it out of the way. So there are more steps.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
I don't have time, of course, to go through all of them, but it's 7 steps, and they can Google Ramsey and find that information out.
You know, and I think that's powerful because something you said is stick with it, stick with it, and something we have to do with our faith, right?
Yes.
Because we have ups and downs, and there are crises that may come up, but it's sticking with it. It's what's key. And I love something you touched on when you're saying we all fall short, but we have to remain positive on what we're doing. And isn't that so much like our Maker, wanting us to continue and be positive and really look at the glass half full about what we have and not necessarily going back on, I've done this wrong, I've done that wrong.
Right. I mean, where would we be if we didn't have Christ? Where would we be if we could not depend on him every time we failed? So absolutely, we're gonna fall.
Yes.
You just have to just pick yourself up and keep moving. Keep moving.
Which is so true, not just in the financial world or spectrum that we're working on, but everything that we do.
Absolutely.
So now, how early is too early to talk to the young ones, our grandkids, our godkids, our own children, about responsibility and money?
Well, I would say that there's not really, it's never too early, I believe. There is some things you'll have to do that are age appropriate, depending on their age. With my oldest son, Judah, we started with him at 5 years old.
Good.
And at 5 years old, we had we didn't do allowance, we didn't call it allowance, and this is from some of the Ramsey principles, we called it commission. So if you work, you get paid.
I see.
If you don't work, you don't get paid. And we put it in a nice clear container so that every time he did a chore, he could put it in his container.
Visible.
Yes, and so he had a visible where he could see the money piling up. You know, when he got a little older, I think he was about 8 years old when we went and opened a bank account.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
How cool.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things I think about when I think of my generation and the ones today, the children under 15 years old, we grew up with a concept of cash, right? Of saying this is 5, 10, 15, 20. And as we all know, credit is much more rampant now today. So they don't necessarily see the tangibility of cash dripping away. And I've once heard a financial advisor on television say that may be part of the problem where people are like, I'll just charge it, I'll just put it on credit. And so you're getting away from the grasp that this is not good, that I'm spending much more money than I have, but you don't know because it's on that little plastic card.
Right. I mean, research has shown that psychologically we spend more when we use plastic. So when they say cash is king, cash is really king. So if you, I mean, that's another tip.
Yes.
Put the amount of money that you've budgeted out in an envelope for whatever it is. When I first started this journey, my husband and I had envelopes for every single expense.
Smart.
We had an envelope for our gas. We had an envelope for our baby's after-school care. Everything there was an envelope for when it made sense. Some things you really can't pay cash for, and you'll have to use your card. But your debit card is what you should be using, not a credit card. So that was very helpful, using what we call the envelope system.
Smart.
To keep the money tracked, because you see that $20 leaving your hand, it's a different reaction. Your body reacts differently than you just swiping it.
Oh,
and then maybe you want to invite so many of your friends to lunch.
That's right. You're not going to cover it this time.
Right.
You know, I love your platform. It's powerful. It incorporates our faith, our love of God, and also being responsible stewards of money and our finances. Where can our viewers at home right now find out more information about everything you spoke about, Renee?
So they can go to, I have a business Facebook page, and it's Financial Fortitude LLC.
Yes.
When you search for Financial Fortitude, you might see a few, but if you do the LLC, LLC, Financial Fortitude LLC, just one word, then you'll find my page. And on my page, you're able to book if you want to talk with me. I do, free consultations and things of that nature so that I can help people get on that road to recovery.
Wow, well, you have a lot of information, and thank you for sharing your love and your advocacy here on Atlanta Live. What powerful information. Thank you. Wow. Well, you can see we're off to a great start here on this live edition of Atlanta Live, featured right here on WATC TV 57. Now, we opened up the show with some great music from a young man and his band all the way from Long Island, New York. And he's back live on the music set. And this time, the song is Still Do It by Antoine Hilton.
Still do it. Still do it. Got a phone call, said come over to my place. Every minute that I drove there, I knew I was out of place. The spirit told me no, but my flesh told me so. Go ahead. It told me one last time, it ain't hurt nobody. Tell me who can I run to when I need help? No, you told me to get on my knees, but I ignored my help. Now I'm feeling bad, cause I done did it. Now I'm feeling bad, cause I done did it. Listen, what I shouldn't do, no I shouldn't do it. I still do it, yes I still do it. I know what I can't. I still do it. I know exactly what I should do, but I still do it. I know better, but I still do it. I still do it. Don't know why, but I still do it. Supposed to be living examples, play with the time, with time I got ample. I feel like the wax in the candle, soon as it conquers the heat, it's in shambles. I don't do what I can do, but indulge what I can't do. And to my friends, I can't stand you. If it's a little bit much to continue, I can't do what only God can do. Simply to maintain you. Denying this versus the angle. I promise my heart's what I aim to. Hands in the air cause I can't shoot. Flesh that would dare different angles. I take another L trying to save you. Not blessed with a game like Babe Ruth. What I should do, I still do it. Don't know why. I know what I can't do. I mess around and still do it. I know exactly what I shouldn't do it, but I still do it. I know better, but I still do it. I still do it. I got a phone call, said come over to my place. And every minute that I drove there, I knew I was out of place. The spirit told me no, but my flesh told me so. It told me one last time, it ain't hurt nobody. Now tell me who can I run to when I need help? I know you told me to get on my knees, but I ignored my help. Now I'm feeling bad, cause I don't get it. Now I'm feeling bad, cause I done did it. Now I'm feeling bad, cause I done did it. Now I'm feeling bad, cause I done did it.
Wow. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty mesmerized by the awesome music of that young man and his band, and we'll get to know them much more sooner. Well, right now, I'm back on this talk show set with two amazing gentlemen that have a heart for literacy and youth, and they put all of their talents and gifts into a series of books and games. I'm so excited for you to get to know more about the one and only Mr. Simon Card and Dujuan Johnson. Gentlemen, welcome to Atlanta Live. Yeah.
Excited to be here.
Good. Thank you for being with us. Now, literacy, that's a hot buzzword right now. I know we're in the summer months, and so many parents and guardians are like, if I can only get them to want to read more, right, without it being a homework assignment.
Yes.
So, Simon, help us with that. How do parents get there?
Well, our idea is that if we put them up with topics that are relevant to parents and relevant to kids, it'll be things that they're excited to learn about and things they want to read about. So that's what we kept in mind with our series. We tried to come up with topics that we thought would be relevant to students where they were.
I love that. So you're saying we don't necessarily have to say you've got to learn about the 9 planets during the summer months because that's what's coming up in your 3rd grade curriculum, right? You're saying start off with something my son may be interested in, even if it's tennis, right, or soccer. So you're saying meet them where they are?
Exactly, because as long as they're reading, they're practicing the skills. The content is always can change according to their passions or their desires or their interests.
Yes.
But as long as they're reading and improving their skills, that's really the end goal.
Wow. The end goal, Dujuan, you're an educator,
Yes.
you're a dad, right?
Yes,
so
I am.
what is the end goal? Because not everyone's educators
Correct.
like the two of you.
Correct. Well, I would say the end goal is just for your kids to be successful.
Okay.
Kids to be just great, just leaders in the community, you know. And right now we're trying to get our kids to be the end goal, just to be CEOs of their own bosses.
Yes.
Yes.
So that's powerful. So you're saying let them develop and meet their potential.
Correct.
Right? So
Correct.
the end goal is not necessarily everyone's going to be a teacher
not.
or an engineer or
It's not.
architect,
It's not.
right?
It's not.
But for them to reach where they need to go.
That's correct. Yes.
You know, I'm looking at the series of books, and you all have done several. How many in the series?
We've done 8. We have another 4 in production.
Wow.
And by next year, we hope to have possibly 30 titles.
Yes.
I love that. And I know our viewers at home and in their cubicles at work still tonight can look at several of the book images that are coming across. You've done so much from cooking to a young man earning
Yes.
money, mowing grass. I just
Yes.
love that concept, right?
Yes.
He's being responsible. And we just spoke with our previous guest about financial responsibility.
Correct.
It seems like you all have covered the gamut on lessons. Why was that so important, Dujuan?
Well, it was because we wanted just to show that, you know, you have options. So we wanted to write a series that empowered, and it taught through a fun way, you know, utilizing principles that inspired and uplifted. You know, these kids these days, they need that. You know, they need to see that they have options. You know, college is an option, but being your own boss is an option too. So with the lessons infused, it shows all of that.
You know, but Simon, I've got to ask this tough question, being a parent. You know, as much as reading and literacy is important, right, and comprehending and truly understanding what they're reading is a whole nother concern, but you're also competing against a tablet, a cell phone,
Yes.
Instagram, Snapchat, right, Twitter. How does a parent make that leap?
Well, in my opinion, I don't think it's a competition between the two.
I see.
Whether we read tablets, whether we read iPads, whether we
Okay.
read cell phones, it's not the method that you deliver it in, it's the fact that they're still practicing the same skills. For me, I don't read that many physical books these
Okay.
days because I will use a Kindle or my laptop or my cell phone. And we've also considered that in our products because our books are available not only as paperbacks, they're also available as Kindle books, and they're also available as audio books as well.
So you're saying, hey, we're in 2019, so it's no need necessarily to always be paper and pen.
Yes.
You're saying as long as they're reading, that's where we need to be praising and being
Yes.
grateful for that.
Most definitely.
Yes.
Okay, but real talk for real people. I'm a real mom, right?
yes.
So for some, as long as they have that tablet in their hand, Dujuan,
Yes.
it's not necessarily looking at the books that mom or dad have downloaded on the
Right,
apps.
right.
I'm going to go to another little app and I'll leave it nameless, but it's about videos, not necessarily about literacy. How do you make that jump when you're saying, okay, here's this app that I put on here and you're going to read all about literacy, and you come in 10 minutes later and they're watching their favorite video about their favorite video game?
Well, you know what you have to do is, I have 2 daughters, Sydney and Riley, and I try to just give them some time to, you know what, let's do what you want to do for a few
Okay.
minutes, and then I'm going to come back and let's look at this right here. So now it's kind of like we both get a chance to get what we really want and everything, so I kind of like marry the two.
I see. So you're
Yes.
saying it's no necessarily need to be like hardcore.
No. You just want to be supportive, you
I
know,
see.
because they still need that time, because we were kids as well, too. And we did the
We
same
were.
thing. We looked away and did that, too. So, you know, you want to show them that, you know, okay, I'll have fun with you, but come on, have fun with me, too.
I see. So that's important. I know you also have a workbook, right?
Yes.
So not just books for reading, but the workbook is engaging them to answer
Yes.
questions as well.
It is.
Yes, that's correct. So as educators, we always know you want to make the learning process as continual and stretch out as long as you can.
Correct.
So a lot of times when kids read books, sometimes, you know, they read it, okay, I'm finished, the last page is
Okay.
over. So inside of the books, we included vocabulary, activities, and other things for the kids to do. But even to take it even
Yes.
further, we added a whole entire workbook. So now, okay, you finished with the book, but here's some language, here's some spellings, here's some math practice, because the more we know they engage and stay with it, the longer it stays with them. So it just goes back over the concepts that are introduced in the books.
It's supplementary work.
I see. And it's helping them with comprehension, right?
Yes,
so you're saying not just reading, because I have a very good friend that's a literacy coach. She says there's a difference between children being able to read words off of paper and actually apply it, right, and understand it.
Correct.
And I love that's what you're saying your workbook is doing,
Yes.
taking it to another level. And also, I want to bring up a buzzword that's very real for a lot of parents, testing. So with the workbook, it sounds like it would help prepare them for the exams or testing they take throughout the year.
It does.
Most definitely, because we've looked at the standards and we're tying those to our workbooks to say we know that they need spelling or phonemic practice.
see.
They also need word problem practice. So instead of, we have a computation page, but we also have word problems where it takes situations from the book and it puts those into math word problems that they have to solve.
You know, there's an old adage out there that I've heard saying, not only do we need to encourage our children to read, but we need to show them
Yes.
what good reading and language is.
Yes.
And that's saying for parents also to read, because I think the tendency when the child can come of age to read, and that ranges, as you know, from different children and different families, but parents are like, okay, just go read on your own. We're kind of putting them away, and sometimes it can come across almost as if it's punishment for the child and not encouraging. Dujuan, how important is it for us as parents, for mom and dad ourselves, to put down that cell phone, to put down even maybe what we're writing in our log or journal, to get with our children and sit down and enjoy what they're reading themselves?
Well, as you say, I think we're our kids' first teachers. So you have to model, you know, what you expect.
Yes.
I always tell my kids, you got to inspect what you expect. So they'll say, well, Dad, you didn't do it. So I had to make sure that I'm doing it too. So, you know, I always had to bring them along and say, you know what, let's read. Let's read. So now I can say, now we're doing it.
I see.
So,
powerful. And that does take, though, Simon, parents sort of zoning. We have to stop what we're doing as well.
We have to.
And that is a sacrifice that a lot of parents aren't really conscientious about.
Yeah, you have to model the behavior.
We do, and that's so important.
Yes.
All right, very much so. Now, I have to ask this. I love this platform. You have a series of books. You also have games we haven't spoken about yet. How did this all start? Are you two educators? I mean, just friends and sort of came upon, we both love literacy?
Well, it's an amazing story. So Dujuan and I live probably 45 minutes from each other.
Wow.
But we never knew each other.
Correct.
Both math teachers, both specialist degrees.
I see.
We both left our classrooms and went into instructional coaches. Still don't know each other. We both moved overseas.
Where?
To Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi, yeah. And that's in the UAE, United Arab Emirates.
What?
Yes. We're both
Welcome back to the States.
Thank
Yes,
you very
glad to
much.
be back.
We both are at different schools. We still don't know each other. Both of our wives are also teachers. So we both got transferred into the same school.
Correct.
And then you finally meet.
And then we finally meet.
Yes.
So we believe that God had just put us together
Always.
for this time, for this appointed purpose.
It was destiny.
Because I don't think we would have been as far as developed where we are in 1 year, because all of this came in 1 year.
Wow.
In 1 year, we
That's
developed all
impressive.
of this.
Yes.
Because when we got together, Dujuan had some ideas he wanted to do in writing.
Okay.
I had some ideas we wanted to do, and we talked about what do we need in our community.
Yes.
And we saw the need for, even though our parents worked really hard to make sure we're educated,
Yes.
there was a piece missing in terms of financials, as their previous guests spoke
Absolutely.
about. And we just said, this is something that we can do to move our next generation forward.
Wow. I love that. What a powerful testimony and
Yes.
story. And like you're saying, God was ordering your steps.
It was.
Because you would have thought that you all would have crossed paths
Exactly.
prior to having to go thousands of miles overseas.
Overseas.
to do it.
Yes.
But it's all in His
5 minutes
timing.
away.
Yes.
It was
It's
all
God's
when you
time.
all were at a
It
point
is.
ready to put all of this together.
Yes.
Yes.
I love that. Now, where do you see this in 5 years?
In school systems across the states.
Okay.
Yes, across countries.
Oh, see.
You know, like I said, we've already had a YGO day in Abu Dhabi, and it was huge. You know, and they loved it. Thank you so much. So across the states, we're just waiting on counties just to recognize what we're doing, and we're ready.
I see.
Yes.
You know, I always like to ask authors, not necessarily children authors, but adult authors, Christian authors, and you all are Christian authors of children's books. But who is this for? Your series of books. I mean, obviously someone say, well, of course, kids. But is there a type of child? Is it a child who doesn't like reading? Is it a child who does like reading? Maybe is it a struggling reader?
I would say it's for all children.
Okay.
It's for all children because we have to empower our kids these days. We have to show them that, you know, this is the way. This
Yes.
is the way. You know, like our parents, they knew the way for us. We have to show our kids this is the way. So it's for all kids, all diversity.
That's powerful.
Yes.
You know, I noticed on your different books, you have a great spectrum of children,
Yes.
very diverse.
Diverse
and I
ethnic
love that.
background.
So
Yes.
it's children that look like America, right? And why was that so important, Simon, for you all to accomplish? Was this intentional or was it sort of accidental?
It was most definitely intentional.
Okay.
Because we wanted to make sure that when people look at our books, that they see themselves in it. Because you can't be what you can't see.
Powerful.
Yes.
That's very interesting because you all both are educators,
Yes.
right? In a profession where mostly dominated by females,
Correct.
right? And to
Correct.
see male teachers, that's exceptional within itself.
Yes.
And then you're going out of your way writing books and including everybody,
Yes.
so they can feel empowered by it,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
The ideal student is who? Is what?
Ideal student. I don't know if I would say there's such a thing as an ideal student, because learning is it's a lifelong venture. So I think we have for years cubby-holed what we thought was the ideal student was the person who went in and was able to reiterate what the teacher said back to them all the time.
Sure will.
Yes.
And I think in some ways that's kind of crippled sometimes our communities, because we say, if you don't do this, if you're not an A student, if you're not sitting
That's right.
still,
That's
then
right.
this is not what you're not going to do well in
Good
school.
point.
And that's kind of what we wanted to go back a little bit away from and say, look, if you like to cut grass, you like to bake, you like to do hair, it doesn't matter. Find your passion and then learn how to make it into a business.
That's
There
right.
are so many jobs out there that we don't even know. You know, they say in 10 years from now, there'll be jobs that our kids will have that aren't even invented yet.
Wow.
So
Technology.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So and try to say what an ideal student is more about the fact that you just become a hard worker and you become well versed in finances, and then you're able to apply that wherever it's necessary.
You know, there was a reason I asked that question because, as you know, being educators, and I know you're overseas now, but you taught here in the States as well, and I'm sure students and family dynamics are the same all over the world, right?
Yes.
That there are some individuals very concerned about the current state of education, right, where we are. And they may say, my child really is smart, he's creative, he's funny, but he doesn't fit the formula that the current school system he's in. You know, there's a parent, there's a grandparent watching us right now thinking this, and they're starting to feel that their child is not happy about school, they're not excited about school. You both know this as educators. If you are failing grades or not necessarily performing your best, your confidence starts to suffer. So you start piling on top of each other, right? The confidence, the failures, it keeps piling.
Right.
What would you have to say to that grandmother, Dujuan, who is watching right now, saying he's a smart kid, he is determined to be an architect, but he's struggling in school, but I know he's smart?
I would just say, you know, keep the faith. That's the first thing, keep the faith, you know, stay prayed up. And then a lot of times with the kids, and I found that the kids sometimes just don't meet that right teacher, because you can meet that right teacher and it can just pull it out of that student, you know, and that student be sitting there looking at you like, wow. You know, and just that's the teachable moments that you have to have in a classroom as a teacher, and then you grab that student and just continue to work. You know, I've had many students like that. I've had a gifted endorsement class that I taught a few years ago, and it was that student in there that you're talking about. And the parent came and was saying to me, well, my daughter's going to be a doctor. Well, I said, well, you know, sir, doctors do own businesses too,
That's
you
right.
know. And, you know, she was just unmotivated. But then talked to her about, you know, entrepreneurship, and then she just came, you know, the light just turned on.
the button.
You know? So yes,
was the
you know,
button
so
they
just that was my teachable moment with her. So, you know, tell that grandmother, keep the faith.
Keep the faith.
Keep the faith. You know, it could just be a little situation they're going through.
That's
It's okay.
right.
It's
And
okay.
we have to stay in there, right, as God would
you
want
have
us
to. You
with
have to.
anything.
You
And
have to.
education can be a frustrating journey for some, but it's so exciting and grateful to meet two educators that are committed to really wanting to reach every child, right? Not the ones maybe labeled gifted or
No, not that.
overperforming,
Because
overexcelling.
all children have a gift.
Yes,
Remember
they
that.
do.
Yes.
Yes, I came
Yes.
across a statement. It was on social media where it was a teacher friend of mine. She said, every child has a gift.
Every child
It
has
just
a gift.
depends on when you can expose it and how.
Wow.
So powerful.
Wow.
Gentlemen, we're beginning to wrap up. Where can our viewers watching us right now find out more information about your literacy platform? And I know you also have interactive games.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, our website is lessonslearnedpub.com.
Okay.
It's actually made up of 3 series. You got options. It's 1 series, but we also have 2 other series, which I have to shout out real quick. My wife and I do another travel series called Come With Us.
Very
and there's
cool.
another series called Whiz Kids, which is about about problem solving.
I see.
But if you go to lessonslearnedpub.com, you can find all 3 book series there. In addition, we're also on Facebook at Facebook You Got Options, and also on Twitter and Instagram.
Yes.
And also all of our books are available through our online marketplaces.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. So what an amazing platform. You know, before we wrap up, I'm going to give each of you an opportunity to say one word that can empower a mom or dad watching right now dealing with the typical kid out there. One word.
Perseverance.
Perseverance. I love it. Dujuan.
Options.
Options. Perseverance, options, faith, keep it going. Thank you, gentlemen. My words for you. Thank you so much. Simon and Dujuan, wonderful platform on childhood literacy. So important. As they both said, stay in there for the long run, be patient, and pray. Don't give up on your children, no matter where they are in that educational journey. Wow, and such an important journey as well. So great inspirational talk. We'll just keep going here on Atlanta Live, as you can see. And we're back live on the music set once again with this very talented musician. It's Antoine Hilton, and it's Lord I.
Woke up early this morning. I was clothed in my right mind. I had food on my table, and I had clothes to put on my back. And it's all because of you. Lord, I really love you. I remember, little boy, running around like wax a playground. In these streets of Long Island, a lot of gunplay, people dying, but you kept me. I love you with all my heart, my soul. I'll give you my everything. My hands lifted up in my mind, there were prayers, yeah. Lord, I really love you. Lord, I really love you. You watched over me when I didn't watch myself. Lord, you've been there for me. You've been there for me. Oh, Lord, nothing but the love of Jesus. It was nothing but the love of Jesus. Come on, Rick. love me, even when I didn't love myself. Lord, I love you.
My. What awesome inspirational music by Antoine Hilton. Stay with us because in mere seconds, we're going to get to know more about him. Music is his ministry and it means so much to him. So stay tuned in. Well, right now you see there is a phone number at the bottom of the screen. Please use that phone number. Our prayer lines are open. We have individuals in our prayer room who are here to pray for you. Please know that there is no problem, no concern so small that you're thinking, I don't want to bother anyone. Or maybe you're dealing with something more serious, such as a medical diagnosis. Maybe there is a child being misguided. Please call our prayer warriors right now. They are waiting to hear from you. That phone number is at the bottom of the screen. It's free, okay? There are no strings attached. We are here for you. We want to hear from you, and that is so important to us. Now, we've got more powerful testimonies here on Atlanta Live tonight, and also more live music. But speaking of music, I told you we're going to get to know more about Antoine Hilton. He's all the way from Long Island, New York, here in Atlanta, Georgia. Antoine will join us right now live on the talk show set. Let's welcome Antoine, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much. You know, I know you've performed over there, and I'm blown away by your music. You know, listening to your music and the live instruments, there seems to be a blend of music. What inspires your music?
Well, I grew up in a Pentecostal church, and I was raised on like quartet music. And then I ventured off and did secular music, but you know, God take you through a valley, or He take you all these different angles, just to have all that and bring it to like a gumbo and create different type of music.
Wow, and so here you are now, traveling the world from Long Island, New York, blessing us with your music. Now, I know it was shared with me earlier that music is your ministry for you, right? So I think for many people who are listening to music, they'll say, what sounds good? And here in the audience, we love your music, we were rocking to it. But for you, it's so much more. There's a meaning, a lesson, and a journey behind it.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Why?
I went through some like near-death experiences.
Oh, my.
And when God was calling me, I nearly lost my life on the highway.
My.
And He sent some angels to get me out of the ditch.
God be the glory.
And I was diagnosed with diabetes at one time.
Okay.
And when I was diagnosed with that diabetes, I didn't know for a whole year.
Wow.
So I was in the gym, I was working out.
Yes.
And I lost a lot of weight, and I went back, and He said, you know, you never came back for your results. I said, why do you say that? He said, you have diabetes. And he said, you lost so much weight. Let me recheck it. He rechecked and found no trace of diabetes.
Wow. Yeah. What a powerful testimony. Yeah. Wow, amazing. So I know your faith is important.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I believe in Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I really believe that He died for my sins, and He's the lead and guide, you know, me through my paths and my situations.
That's so important. You know, you said you grew up in the Pentecostal church, and music has been a part of your life as probably as early as you can remember.
Oh, yeah. When I was a young kid, my older brothers, they had a quartet group. Oh. And I was like 5 years old trying to sing with them, getting it.
Too cute.
And then one day I just blew my second oldest brother's mind, and he just like, you know, you can sing with us.
Wow. Yeah. Now, I know you're a vocalist. Do you also play instruments?
Yeah, I play bass
wow.
guitar. Yeah. I dabble on the drums a little bit, but nothing to brag about.
I'm sure that means you're really good at it. Usually when people say that, they're really talented at it. You started off early in the church and also for your love of music. How important is it, you being a little boy at 5 years old, watching your brothers perform, watching music in the church? How instrumental and critical is it for our children to have activities they can resonate with, such as music?
That is so true, because it kept me off the streets.
Powerful.
You know, everybody have their prodigal experience when they go out.
Absolutely.
But the bass and the singing and the writing, all of that stuff kept me grounded. And I impute that into the children, like have something that, you know, that you love and you can always go back to, just to keep you in line.
That's right.
And that's what it did for me.
You know, we just spoke with those two educators that have a series of books when it comes to literacy, and I know there are a lot of music teachers that believe that there's a creativity with music. Now, you know, in our schools, due to budget funding, that a lot of arts have been cut away, and there are a lot of teachers, not just in the arts, but those in academic as well, who have expressed concern for that, of saying that children do need those creative outlets as well to reach their full potential.
Oh yeah, that's one of my goals, is to set up a school, like, where not even a school, like an after-school program where kids can come and they can play music, they can write music, they can record. So that's my goal in my community.
I love that you're covering the full spectrum of music, because often I think when we think of music, right, I'm non-musical myself, we think of the vocalists, the singers, and that's all we see. And then you get to know where they're bass players and they're drummers, and the drummers are often more famous and popular that we think of. But you're also talking about writing.
Right.
And I think that's so important, because you're talking about exposing youth and others to something most of us don't think of.
Right. The writing is the last instrument. The writing is the last instrument, because without that, you know, you can have a melody, which is cool and it's catchy, but to get a message across, you got to make sure you really pay attention to detail with the writing.
That's important. Now, tell us where you are right now in your musical career. You have an album out?
I have 2 albums out.
Wow, congratulations.
I'm in the middle of creating a new album called Eclectic.
Ooh.
And the new album basically is like different types of music into one.
I see.
So, and I just signed about a few months ago to Godfather Records.
Oh, congratulations, Antoine. Huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
So, wow. So now you're working on your music. You're staying busy on the road. Where do you see yourself in 1 year with your music?
Well, I want to be able to travel the world as I'm doing, and just take time and talk to young people, and just try to gear people into the right direction. Let them know that you can, because people think, because, you know, I've been doing it for so long.
Yes.
You know, people give up. I just want to teach them just to persevere, just to not give up on anything. And I want to give that message around the world.
Yeah, persevere. That was a word that we had Simon Carr, the educator that was on before you. He said perseverance. That was his word. And you just used it. I think that's confirmation from God that someone watching us right now needs to hear that, right? Because maybe it is a daughter who says she wants to go into music, and maybe the parent is frustrated because they're saying, well, you need to do these other things first.
Right.
You know that's a tough thing, right?
It's
Guardians, we love our children, and we may have these goals of them being that registered nurse or that LPN, because that's what we didn't accomplish. And then they come out of left field, because children have their own, right? And thank God for that. Definitely. And they say, but Mom, I want to be a singer. I want to be a musician. I want to be a pianist.
Yeah, I'm a father of 3 kids.
Okay, so you know.
Yeah, I know. So my kids, I watch them and I say, what is it that you want to do? And I let them do, like my daughter, she likes to flip and dance.
Oh, cool.
So, you know, I'm leaning her more towards the, you know, all that stuff. And my other 2 sons, my young one is a little too young, but he's trying to sing.
Oh, after daddy.
Yeah, and my oldest son, he's trying to sing as well.
Wow.
So, I'm going to make sure that's what they really want to do. But whatever they want to do, I'm going to find out what that is, and I'm going to help them go on that path.
That's so powerful. And then not only to be able to talk about it, I think we said that earlier in one of the earlier interviews, but to show them the perseverance to keep going and move forward. And you've had different stages in your career where you told us at the top of this interview you used to do secular music.
Yes, I did.
Wow.
You know, I was called, you know, from a major group, and we had the same manager. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but P. Diddy.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, he had a group, artist called G-Dep.
Okay, yes.
And that artist, you know, we had the same manager.
Wow.
And we toured all over the place with each other. I was opening up for Diddy and had a good time. Sung background for an artist named John B.
Oh, sure, of course.
Yeah. So I was around.
Wow, so you've seen a lot.
Yeah, I've seen a lot.
Different. And what I think is important from this, and somebody 85, 55, or 25 may need to hear this, just because we've been in one stage of life doesn't mean we can't continue along the journey that God has.
That's right.
Because so many of us say, well, I've done this for so long, 5 or 6 years, it's hard to jump and go into something else. But you've proven it can be done and successful.
It can be done. See, music is a big barrel. And if you try to play outside the barrel, you'll get lost. You got to jump in the barrel, and whatever music leads you, that's where you need to go.
Is there any song or musical selection you love to sing yourself? Is it a personal favorite?
Yes, Love Letter.
Wow.
Love Letter is a song that I wrote. Love Letter is basically, it's a letter, you know, Bible.
Okay.
So when I wrote that song, I was talking about some personal experiences that I had, and the love letter, the reading the Bible, is what kind of helped me and saved me through all my trials and tribulations.
You know, I always ask this when I'm interviewing musicians. What do you hope and pray your music achieves when you're performing?
I want to make sure there's no barriers. I don't want anybody to judge a sound. And when they judge the sound, they put them in a compartment.
We do.
I just want it to be music is music. Accept it for what it is. Be free, and let it do what it does to you.
Yeah, let it move you.
Let it move.
And it can have a mission and a ministry, you believe.
Right.
Giving a powerful message. We're beginning to wrap up this interview, Antoine. Where can our viewers go to find more information out about you and your music and your platform, which is your ministry?
Right. We have AntoineHilton.com.
Okay.
info@AntoineHilton.com. That's my email.
Okay.
Facebook is Antoine Hilton. Twitter is Antoine Hilton. Instagram, Antoine Hilton. I made it real easy. Everything is Antoine Hilton.
That's very smart to make it easy. Now, I know you're going to be performing some more songs for us before you leave us. How has this experience been? Because it's your world debut here on Atlanta Live.
This is great. I love it. Everybody's so warming and appreciate you.
Thank you.
You know, I just love it. It's beautiful here.
Wow. Music is wonderful and can be magical. To a large degree.
Oh yeah, music, it brings people together.
Yes,
and,
yes it can.
If you allow it, and you can be around a bunch of musicians, and all of y'all just mesh together.
Yes, that's
and
right.
and you'll feel like you knew the person all your life. That's what music does.
Wow. 1 minute left. Right now, give a message to someone that may need to hear what your music accomplishes through its ministry.
All right, I just want to say to you, whatever your desire is, whatever your heart desire is, to go forward. Don't let anything stop you. Don't let time stop you. Don't let people stop you.
Wow.
Don't let yourself stop you, because God gave you something within to make you go and persevere. So you just keep going. Whatever's driving you to go, you just go.
Wow, whatever is driving you to go, keep going. Thank you so much, Antoine.
Thanks for
what a
having
pleasure to have you on Atlanta Live. Amazing young man with so many gifts. And thank you for joining us. Stay tuned in. He's not done sharing his ministry of music with us. We'll be back for the last 30 minutes of Atlanta Live. Don't go anywhere. everyone. Welcome back to our live edition of Atlanta Live, featured right here on WATC TV channel 57. I'm your host for tonight's show. I'm Shana Thornton, and I'm here with the amazing, very gifted Pastor Judy. Her and the team are in the prayer room, and they're taking calls right now. So many calls have come through tonight. We thank you for watching the show, and we want to continue to encourage you to call in with your questions, any of your prayers. Nothing is too small or too big. We've had some individuals expressing they've had some medical concerns, but stay with us for the long run. God loves you. Go nowhere. And right now, Pastor Judy is going to provide us with scripture and prayer.
Amen. And that scripture is our salvation scripture. It's Romans 10:9-10. It says, if thou shalt confess with thy mouth the Lord Jesus and shalt believe in thine heart that God hath raised him from the dead, thou shalt be saved. For with the heart man believeth unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. Amen. We're going to pray this salvation prayer. So please give us a call tonight. Amen. As Sister Shana has said, 770-300-9828. And now we will return back to the studio. Now cut it short.
Trust in someone, end up getting screwed in the long run. When I call my so-called friends, they make excuses, every time excuses. My heart is aching, breath I'm barely taking, gasping for air. Can't find a friend anywhere. Then I read your love letter. Said you'll always be here, friend that never leave here. Then I read your love letter. Said you'll always be friend that never leaves you. Now I'm laying in the bed, hands full of mess. Should I take them now in my life right now? Because it's hard out here, can't find a job nowhere, because everybody didn't bother to look my way. Then I read your love letter. Said you'll always be here. You supply Every day you pass me by, never stop and say hi. I supplied all love you need, but you never recognize me. It's your mother gave you birth, your daddy had a part, but I was the one who did it all. If it wasn't for my grace, wasn't for the grave, I rose from in 3 days. But still, you go on with your life. But can you imagine the hurt that I don't hear a word from you? Hey, you. Oh, can't you hear my heart? It's telling you to stop. Turn around. I'm not too shy to speak. Just hoping you notice me. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hey, you. I'm over here. Can't you hear my heart telling you to stop? Turn around. I'm not too shy to speak. Just hoping you notice me. As long as you have blood flowing through your veins, and you have the breath to confess my name, just take a look around, and then you will find I've been there all the time. I've been there all the time. Hey, you. Hey, you. Can't you hear my heart? Said it's telling you to stop. Turn around. Turn around. Too shy to speak. Just hoping you notice me. Hey, you. Can't you hear my heart? Telling you to stop. Turn around. Not too shy to speak. Not too shy to speak. Just hoping you notice me. Hoping you notice me. Hey, you. Hey, you. Hey, you.
Wow, what amazing, amazing music by the one and only Antoine Hilton, again from Long Island, New York. Thank you for sharing your ministry of music. What a blessing for us all here on Atlanta Live. Well, right now I'm going to speak with someone live on our talk set who has so much to share, and she has a ministry as well. It's a medical ministry. I'm talking about the one and only Dr. Santrell Hart-Moreland. Welcome to Atlanta Live.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shana.
So excited to have you on. Now, talking about ministries, right? You have a ministry, and for you, it's medical care for the entire body, but something many of us may forget about, and it's our sight, right? Explain.
So I like to say that my ministry not only just gives you physical sight, but also that spiritual and emotional sight as well. But I do really enjoy helping people see that instant gratification. Myself, I started wearing glasses when I was about 5 years old. And it was interesting the way that happened because my parents didn't really realize that I knew that I needed glasses. I like to pull the television close to the bed, and the television fell on my head one day. Oh my. And so that's how they determined, let's get her to the doctor. And they told her that I needed glasses, and thus began my journey. And so I get a kick out of helping people see.
Oh, that's powerful because you were part of the testimony yourself.
Yes.
So you know how powerful it is.
Yes.
Now, I said it was your ministry, and obviously you're an optometrist, so you work with individuals that need screenings and exams, but also those who are having concerns, right, as well. And it can start often at birth, right? I've heard that. But sometimes as we go through life, and often the parents will realize it because the grades are suffering at school, and they're not able to really see the board as well. And you know, that's a gamut because they get distracted, and then they get involved in other things that are not the best they can be. But your ministry also includes working with individuals locally and internationally. Tell us more.
Sure. So one of my passions is going overseas and helping people, giving back to the community. So many of our brothers and sisters overseas aren't able to access health care. And not just eye care, but dental care, medical care, emergency care. A lot of our brothers and sisters are suffering from, just for instance, in Africa, they cook on open fires. And oftentimes sparks will fly, and those things can get into the eye. Here, we know, simply rinse the eye. I mean, we have clean tap water that we can use. We can come to the optometrist, we can go to the ophthalmologist, we can go to the emergency room and get the eye treated. But they will lose their vision. That would become a blind eye for something that happens frequently. And so that care is necessary and is needed, and we're able to do that. But what I'm really excited about, Shana, is that we're bringing that care here to the people in Henry County. We have a free clinic coming up in September where we're going to service 200 the Henry County residents at no cost. And it's not a health fair. It's a clinic. So when we diagnose a condition, we're treating that condition and giving the necessary medications for that patient.
This is powerful. I mean, so your work overseas is significant, without question. And I think when we think of missionary work, Dr. Santrell, we often say, well, it is overseas. You have to get on a plane and you're going thousands of miles away. But you and your team obviously saw a need here, locally, in the Atlanta metropolitan area, that's saying we need to get to people and give them not just a screening, you made this clear to me, an exam where you're actually diagnosing things and helping them. I think this is major.
Absolutely, absolutely, because what a lot of us, I feel that everybody has a heart to help. Everyone wants to offer a help to their brother and sister. They just don't know how to do it. We provided that opportunity. So you don't have to be a medical physician, although we want that. But if you have a heart to help and a heart to serve, our brothers and sisters, we help each other. But so it's a two-way street.
It is.
I'm offering you assistance, but you have to accept that assistance.
Yes, you do.
Right?
Yes, you do.
And it's a big thing when someone who needs health care, who hasn't been able to afford health care, they're working hard, they're trying to take care of their family.
Absolutely.
Right? They just need a little push. They're not asking for much. And unfortunately, in the society that we're in, if you're not a person who has a full-time job with all the benefits, you may have to work 2 part-time jobs. And so therefore you don't have the benefits, right?
That's right.
But you still should get health care. And so my team. I have a team of physicians who volunteered their services to come out and give that necessary aid.
You know, and it's necessary, and I think many individuals, and we're not medical like you know that. Majority of people, Americans, are not. But they hear screenings and exams and they say, oh, well, I've got to get my mammogram, especially women 40 and above, or if it runs in the family a little earlier, and diabetes screening, right? Get the A1C checked. We'll do all these things. But often the last thing for a lot of people is sight, because we don't think of it as necessary, right? Well, I'm fine. As I'm aging, I can't see as well as I used to, but that comes with age. But I know as an optometrist, you believe there are some serious, and you know, not just believe, there are some serious repercussions when you're not getting those screenings and exams, because, for instance, there are eye conditions that can parallel with diabetes?
Absolutely. So what is so great to me about practicing optometry is when I look into a patient's eyes, I can see the actual arteries and veins that are nourishing the nerves in that eye. Oftentimes, we as eye care providers are able to see diabetes first. We can see the effects of hypertension first.
Whoa.
We can see cholesterol issues first. We see those things that are happening. And so oftentimes in patients who come to my practice, they understand that I don't just give you a pair of glasses and send you on your way. You're not just floating eyeballs. You're a whole person that we have to care for. And so when there are conditions like diabetes and hypertension and inflammatory issues from patients that have arthritis and cholesterol and things of those sorts, we diagnose, we give recommendations, and we give the physical glass.
The physical glasses with it. And then I love that you're saying optometrists and your medical colleagues often can spot diabetes before perhaps it's showing up in A1C, before that's there. And that's powerful because, as you know, with any medical condition, early intervention is key.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. And so people should not neglect their vision. Oftentimes we're in denial. We think we can just push things back a little further and it's going to be okay. But don't be afraid. It doesn't hurt.
Yes.
Come on in and we can fix that.
You know, when you said push it back, or I think the common remedy is I'll just go to the local drugstore and I'll get my glasses, seeing glasses, and that solves it. But that's not really getting to the root of the problem. And it should be a part of screenings, right, that we're doing for mammograms and colonoscopies and other things for our body.
Absolutely. We have a steward to take care of the physical man. And if you can't see down the street, you think you're seeing, you're not only a detriment to you, but to us, to the other people who are on the road.
Everyone.
People, you know, maybe a single mom, you're trying to get your kids to the soccer games and things of that sort, and we make sure that the children have what they need, but you need to have help.
Correct.
Too.
That's
and
true.
It's okay. And there are options now. So those people who are afraid of wearing glasses, they don't want to look old, their contact lenses, their LASIK procedures, there are other things that we can do. So there's, especially in the States, there is no need for anyone to go without.
You know, let's talk about, you said mothers who can be often busy. And this is a concern when it comes to other screenings as well, mammograms, cervical cancer screenings. They'll say, I'm busy taking care of my partner, my spouse. I'm busy taking care of my kids. I got a mother and father that are ailing. I'm much too busy to go and get my annual eye exam with Dr. Santrell. After all, I'm good. If something was wrong, I'd know it, right? I can still see. How important is it for that working, overly busy mom to take a break and say, I've got to get the screenings and exams to keep me here to help take care of everybody?
So in the African American community, particularly, we have glaucoma. That is a condition that will steal your sight. There are no symptoms attached to that. We have to measure that. The doctors, we need to see you. We need to measure the pressure in your eye. We need to check for your peripheral vision. We need to make sure you haven't lost anything. So that's not something that you can put off. But we often make it convenient too. So mom can bring the kids and her parents, grandma, grandpa, bring the husband, bring them all in and get everybody seen at one time.
I see. And that's important. You said bring the kids, right? Because when we think of eye exams, we often think of grandmother, pawpaw, ourselves, but children. How early, Dr. Santrell, should children be examined for eye concerns as well?
So each child should be examined by the age of 3, and every child entering school, it's a requirement.
That's right.
So if they're pre-K, 5-year-olds, they have to have an exam by then. If you have a family history of any ailments, such as glaucoma, you have a high prescription, and those people know when they have high prescriptions,
Absolutely.
bring the kids in, because just like we inherit our familiar features,
that's right,
that child can inherit some of those tendencies as well.
Absolutely.
So get them into the office.
And early intervention is key, right? So we can get the child focused and not distracted as they need to be to create that LPN, RN, or optometrist in the future, right?
Yes.
So important. Now, I know you have this missionary initiative, if you will, going on in September, but you have something very special coming up to support that that's open to the public.
Yes, yes, and we're so excited about our first inaugural fundraising banquet. It will be next Saturday at the Holiday Inn in Stockbridge. And at this event, we're actually honoring other neighborhood heroes.
Wow.
Dr. Amanda Phillips is one of the doctors that we're at honoring in the area of health. And then in the area of wealth, because a couple of your guests today have already talked about finances. And honoring Miss Arlesia Little with Synovus Bank. And then one of the relationship experts in our community, we're honoring Reverend and Mrs. T.J. McBride for Tabernacle of Praise Church International. So we're excited about bringing people in and honoring the local heroes and then celebrating and having fun. It's going to be a great event. So yes, it's open to the public. And it's next Saturday.
Which is Saturday, July 27th.
The Holiday Inn in Stockbridge.
Wow. And again, it's helping the missionary initiative going on in September, which is allowing free, not just screenings, but exams as well. Now, do you have the date in September yet for those?
Yes, it's Saturday, September 14th.
September the 14th. And is that open just for those Henry County residents or anyone that's walking through the door?
So mainly we want to get the Henry County residents first. And as the clinic expands, we can open into other communities. But we're really wanting to get those working uninsured, those who are trying to make ends meet for their kids and their families, but they're in between, or they're that person that has 2 part-time jobs and doesn't have benefits. We want to service those patients.
Wow. And doing this missionary initiative, again, which is Saturday, September the 14th, in Henry County, will you be accepting children?
We will. Absolutely. Yes. So families are welcome.
Wow. And I'm sure you're saying if someone's listening right now and they say, well, I don't necessarily qualify for that, but you're encouraging them to tell family and friends and neighbors.
Yes, yes, yes. And tell them and get them registered soon. And so I know we'll talk about that later, but we can only service about 200 people.
I see.
Because we're actually providing the medications. If that person needs glasses, we're giving them glasses. If that person needs dental issues, extractions, cleanings, we're doing that on site. So this is not a fair. This is an actual clinic. Whatever the problem is, we're addressing it right then and there.
So you're doing eye care. Of course, you and your team are there. There's dental care. What else is included on September the 14th?
We have an audiologist coming in who's checking for hearing problems and doing hearing aids. We have general practitioners who will be there to diagnose for hypertension and diabetes and other ailments like arthritis and things of that sort. And then, of course, like I said, the dentist will be there. And yours truly would be in the eye care.
So it's completely the full body.
It's the entire man.
Wow. And I'm imagining as well, you're going to be providing some educational and awareness points moving forward for those individuals there that Saturday.
That is absolutely true.
Wow. So not just saying where you're diagnosed here, you want to empower them to move forward and stay healthy for a lifetime.
Absolutely. That's indeed what we want. We want to give that person the opportunity and the tools to take care of their physical man.
You know, how does your faith fit in with your platform of medical care?
So for me, my faith is my relationship. It's all about relationship. And I am truly a believer in that God is in each of us. And I honor the God in each person that I see. And so my personal mission is to support you in becoming better and whatever that better is for you.
Yes.
And I am so blessed because I am surrounded by people who feel the same. And so
that's amazing.
That's why I say there are opportunities to volunteer. We're bringing the mission field here at home. You don't have to travel overseas.
Book a flight. That's right.
We can serve the people in our own communities.
Wow, I love that. So you're saying you are looking for volunteers, individuals not necessarily in the medical community, but those that can help with, I'm assuming, some administrative tasks as well?
Yes, yes. Wow. Administrative, you can be a runner. If you can just take someone from this part of the clinic to this part of the clinic.
Yes.
we have a job for you.
You know, as we begin to wrap up, Dr. Santrell, where can those who are interested, one, maybe in attending or want to volunteer, help with your ministry of giving back and helping individuals be as healthy as they can be?
So we make it really easy. It's elevatedfoundation.org. We're here to elevate the man, so elevatedfoundation.org. And then for the tickets for next Saturday, elevatedfoundation.online tickets. And then you can purchase tickets.
I love that. You know, for those watching, you talked about your faith, our journeys with God. How important is it for us to keep our body intact? Because sometimes that gets remiss all and everything that we talk about.
If your physical man isn't cared for, you can't accomplish your mission here on earth. You can be as spiritually and heavenly minded as you want, but you're here on this planet. And so if you're here in this physical body, you have a duty to steward not just your resources, but that physical man as well.
Yes, so powerful. Dr. Santrell, what an honor to have you on Atlanta Live. You are a joy. You're a joy. You're a medical expert, but someone with a big heart and making a difference in the community. So do check her out and all of the missionary work that she's doing. Well, Atlanta Live for tonight has come to a close. Thank you for watching us. Thank you for spending your night with us again. And remember, we're on Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's live performances. It's live talk, inspirational talk, aimed to keep you educated and motivated. Thank you for everyone calling the prayer line. We received all of your concerns, your prayers. Keep the faith. God loves you. Good night, everyone.